Welcome back to Retro Gamer Gen X's Retro Gaming and Computing channel. And in today's episode, we're going to be taking a deep dive and a deep look at the CD-i player or game console and the CD-i format itself and kind of why it failed and the history behind it. Now, just like all my other look at videos, we're going to be putting in some commercials as well, just showing how the CD-i was marketed. But unlike my other look at videos, this one's not going to have gameplay at the end. I'm actually going to put a little bit of a part of an infomercial just showing how it was marketed in the infomercial space in the 1990s too. Those late night infomercials that used to be on at like 1 in the morning. Pretty cool to see, guys. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and take a look.
You're dancing to your favorite CD and someone says,
I can see it, man! I can see it!
And you're thinking,
Loser.
but actually it's a premonition.
It's CD-i, friends. Next generation CD player that works with your TV.
I see amazing movies, man. I see incredible games. I see this whole world.
That guy creeps me out.
I think it's kind of interesting.
Now get into CD-i starting at $2.99 with 3 titles free, including Burn Cycle.
The story of the Philips CD-i starts in the early 1970s. Philips was working on a new technology called the video disc. Philips enhanced this technology by making a reflective back surface on the disc, which made reading the disc much more reliable. They enhanced the video disc technology into what we know today as the Laserdisc, the big LP-sized disc that could play motion pictures. Several companies wanted a piece of this technology and invested in it, such as Sony, Panasonic, and Pioneer. And in 1978, the Laserdisc was introduced to the consumer market. It was also at this time that Philips knew the Laserdisc technology had its limits. Philips then partnered with Sony to create a new disc standard that would be compact in size and be able to support several different format specifications that would be developed in the future. Philips worked on the technology and Sony worked on the hardware. These discs would be much smaller in size than the original Laserdisc format and have the capability to hold over 700 megabytes of data and 74 minutes of stereo audio. The new standards would be classified in what was called rainbow books. The first of these books was the Red Book. This incorporated the first standards for the new compact disc. The first use of the CD was for CD-DA or compact disc digital audio. Also, the CD plus G standard was created for karaoke machines. This allowed for audio playback with text and graphics synced to the music so people could karaoke. The new audio CD technology was ready by 1982, and Sony released the first CD player in Japan, the CD-101. The first CD to be released was also Billy Joel's 1978 album, 52nd Street. It was released on October 1st, 1982, at the same time that Sony released the CDP-101 CD player. During this time, Philips, still working with Sony, started development of the Yellow Book of Standards. While current computers use tape and magnetic disk drives for software loading, these standards were slow and unreliable. Philips saw the need for a new read-only memory solution. What better than the new CD standard? In 1983, they came up with the CD-ROM format. This format went on to be used in computers and game consoles starting in the mid-1980s. Then in 1983, electronic company Pioneer purchased a majority of the rights to the Laserdisc technology. This is when Philips realized they needed to come up with another format for the CD. So once again, they partnered with Sony to design the hardware while they worked on the format itself. The new format would be part of the new Rainbow Book, the Green Book. This format would have the ability to play audio, video, and display pictures, text, and graphics, and have educational software and interactive games. This new format would be called CD-i, or CD Interactive. This format became a standard in 1986. While the CD format wars were just starting, another war was starting to brew as well. The console war between Sega and Nintendo was just starting to ignite. While in Japan, PC manufacturer NEC just released the first 16-bit console, the PC Engine, in 1987. By 1988, NEC released the first CD-ROM based system, the CD-ROM expansion, bringing CD-based technology to the gaming industry for the first time. Also in 1988, Philips released the first CD-i player, the CD-i 100 modular system for professionals and developers, with the help of Sony's development of the hardware. This was developed to be used with businesses and in education, but really it became the first development platform. Now, while the PC Engine was not released in North America, it came in the form of the TurboGrafx-16 in 1989 and the Turbo CD shortly after. Just when Sega was pulling ahead of Nintendo in the console market, NEC was taking that share away, at least in Japan. Sega knew they had to come up with a CD-ROM based system as well to stay competitive. Now, while all this was going on, Nintendo was working on their new 16-bit game console, the Super Famicom, or as we know it as the SNES in North America. Nintendo released the Super Famicom in Japan in 1990 and in North America in 1991. Just as they released the SNES in North America, Sega released the CD-ROM expansion unit, the Sega CD. Now there were two CD-ROM based systems on the market, and Nintendo wanted in on the CD craze as well. But contraire, mon frere. Nintendo was already prepared for this. Nintendo knew early on that Sega was developing a CD-ROM based expansion unit, so in 1988 they contacted Sony about a possible partnership to develop a CD-ROM based expansion for the upcoming SNES. Development of the new expansion unit commenced. Sony once again partnered with Philips to create a new CD-ROM format for the system called the Super Disc, and Sony would continue doing what they do and do the hardware part of it. Development continued until Sony finished the prototype and dubbed it the PlayStation. In early 1991, the prototype was pretty much finished. Sony and Nintendo was in negotiations for a deal on the licensing of the games released on the system. Now, Sony, since they put most of the work into the project, proposed that they would retain the rights to the games released on the system, leaving Nintendo with a small profit margin on the sales. But this was not the business model that Nintendo wanted to be part of. They had been in control of licensing for the games on their consoles since the launch of the NES, and they did not want to give up the rights to their games. So secretly, Nintendo started negotiations with Philips to make the disc-based system instead of Sony, making sure that Nintendo still had full control over the licensing. By spring of 1991, word had spread to the media that Sony and Nintendo had partnered for a CD-based expansion system. Before this, Nintendo never spoke a word of it. Then the 1991 Summer CES show came. The first day of the show, Nintendo announced its partnership with Sony, to the delight of the crowd. However, right after the announcement, Nintendo went behind Sony's back and signed a deal with Philips to release the CD-based system instead. This is because Philips wouldn't retain rights to the games, and this is what Nintendo wanted all along. The next day, Nintendo announced that they would now be working with Philips for the new CD system. This not only took Sony by surprise, but the media as well, because they knew that Sony and Nintendo had been working on the project for years. But through it all, Nintendo granted Sony permission to continue making the game system and using the technology and releasing it under Sony's name. But Sony ultimately decided against this and started designing a new, more powerful system, the PlayStation as we know it today, and it became one of Nintendo's biggest rivals and a juggernaut in the gaming industry to this day. Meanwhile, Nintendo started working on another CD-based system with Philips. Philips was going to use the same Super CD format that they had been developing for the PlayStation expansion. However, Philips had always worked with Sony for the hardware side of things, and they were behind the curve on the hardware development part of it. Nintendo saw this and knew it would be a while even for a prototype to be built, so they nixed the entire CD expansion project for the SNES. While breaking the deal with Philips, they stated that they could still use the IPs such as Mario and Zelda in games for the system that they developed. For the first and only time since the NES, Nintendo licensed their IPs to another game console. Philips decided to use the CD-i format over the CD-ROM for the new system. Really, Philips just wanted to market the CD-i disc format, not as a games console or player as they called it, but just the format itself. Early in the CD-i development, they created a spec minimum on all CD-i players based off the Motorola 68000 CPU. Their intent was to have other manufacturers license and build the players themselves. So there were some companies that were interested, such as Goldstar, Kyocera, and Sony, among others. In late 1991, Philips released of CD-i players. Now keep in mind, the CD-i technology was never intended to be a game console, but it was marketed as an interactive CD multimedia player. During the first couple of months of release, 18 interactive multimedia CDs and 20 games were released for the system. The games were very basic, like Battleship, Connect 4, jigsaw puzzles, with the best game being a port of Defender of the Crown. It truly was an incredible device for consumers that bought it for what it was, a CD interactive player. It was capable of CD audio, CD plus G karaoke, video CD, full motion video with the optional MPEG video cartridge, and with its built-in OS, it could be made to play games. Later, an add-on modem was made to connect it to the internet as well. It was a device to make your old CRT TV a smart TV, in 90's terms that is. Bill Gates was even quoted as saying he was worried about the CD-i competing with the PC and game console market because Philips had its full commitment into the CD-i format. However, the CD-i was grouped into the game console market. The folks that bought it for this purpose were not impressed with its price tag and its subpar gameplay. Not to mention its horrible infrared controller. The sales of the system were slow, but steady. Philips was determined to push the CD-i format. They continued to develop several different series of players. The 300 series were portable players specifically targeted for use in the sales market as multimedia sales pitch devices for marketing teams to take with them on business trips. The 400 series were cost-reduced top-loading models specifically designed for the gaming market, with a newer, even worse wired controller. The 500 series was really about the same as the 400, but with the optional MPEG video cartridge included. The 600 series was a professional version of the system that supported keyboards, floppy drives, and was designed as a development system. Other companies licensed the CD-i technology as well and used it in their products, such as Goldstar, which released a professional series of players targeting the business and sales markets. Sony also released a portable player, the Sony CD-i Intelligent Discman IVO. What a cool little device. This thing is worth a pretty penny these days. However, by 1994, sales had slumped. Other consoles such as Sega's Genesis and Nintendo's Super Nintendo were dominating the console market that the CD-i was delegated to. This is when they decided to release the Nintendo IP games: Hotel Mario, Zelda, The Wand of Gamelon, Link, The Faces of Evil, and Zelda's Adventure. As we all know, the strategy didn't work and the games were hugely criticized. They are considered some of the worst games ever made. This tarnished the CD-i's reputation even more. Sales of the system and software remained low, but Philips kept pushing, even starting a design for the next generation of CD-i. However, the writing was on the wall for not only the CD-i player, but for the format itself. With the launch of the DVD format in 1996 and its capabilities, it was all but over. The CD-i kept on until 1998 when the product line was discontinued, but the CD-i didn't die there. CD Online, the online service, continued in the UK until the year 2000 and in the Netherlands until 2007. Ultimately, all things come to an end. Between 1991 and 1998, Philips sold around 500,000 units worldwide. Many people disliked the CD-i, calling it the world's worst video game console. If you look at the time it was released, multimedia was a huge thing. The CD-i filled a certain niche. A person that didn't own a computer and wanted an interactive multimedia player instead of a game console. It was a device more for watching videos, listening to music, singing along to the music with its karaoke capabilities. multimedia software like visual encyclopedias, and later its ability to access the internet to shop, check the news, do email, and chat with friends. All without having to own a computer and just using your own TV. That's what its intended purpose was, and that's what it did very well.
Say you're going to buy a CD player and you're thinking. But then you hear about the next generation CD player.
It's called CD-i, and it works with your TV to bring you the ultimate in movies, games, and family entertainment.
Awesome is right. Awesome sound, awesome pictures, awesome choices.
CD-i, tell a friend.
CD-i kid, huh?
Now get into CD-i, starting at $2.99 with $200 of free software.
Oh, hey, you guys are still here. Well, if you guys are enjoying the content, don't forget to hit that like, that subscribe, and that notification bell. That way you get notifications every time I drop new content like this. Now, let's go ahead and check out this infomercial and see how the CD-i was marketed at like 1 o'clock in the morning in the 1990s.
And finally, we came to Peter and Gina. This pair loves movies. Unfortunately, over the years, their VCR had developed quite an appetite, making my twin brother Ed a frequent visitor.
It's a tape, Peter. It's a tape. Get the tape. It's eating the tape. Oh, Forrest Gump is only 3 weeks old. Oh, if we have to replace one more movie, that thing devours.
I know. But we have that extended warranty from Ed. Let's just try and resurrect this thing one more time.
Meanwhile, Ed was big surprise here.
Hey, Ed. Earl here. Earl! We got a VCR down over at Peter and Gina's again. I think you know where they're at. And,
Which, of course, gave me plenty of time to show Peter and Gina movies on CD-i. Which, of course, leads me back to the story.
Ed? Sid. Ed? Sid!
Well, it looks like Ed.
So, what's with the new uniform, Ed?
Not new. Not Ed. Sid.
I don't know about him.
Okay. This plugs in here, this here, this here.
There you go. All fixed.
What exactly do you mean, Sid? All fixed. What is...
It's the new way to watch movies. You kids like movies. How about movies on CD-i? CD-i. Compact disc interactive. It plays full-length feature movies and more, and plays them all on compact disc. Movies like 4 Weddings and a Funeral, one of the dozens of motion pictures available on CD-i, and plays them all with CD sound. It's a home cinema right in your own living room. Have a seat. Where you going? Now, you just hit play and... Hey, you guys got any popcorn?
Popcorn? We have rice cakes.
Right. Better yet, why watch a movie now? I mean, it's not like a CD has the life expectancy of a video cassette, if you know what I mean. How about something more Caesar's World of Boxing-ish? You strike me as someone who knows how to take care of business, handle themselves in a brawl. Here you go. Now check this out. You select your own boxer, pick his form, choose his specs. By now, Ed was so late, he'd lost his best customer. And this would prove to be the final straw.
Oh, yeah. All right. Oh, I got a really good feeling for this. Ooh, hey. Oh, he's cut. He's bleeding. Blood. Yes.
All right, settle down there, Rocco. Now, how about a nice, relaxing afternoon of murder and betrayal? Clue. Everyone likes Clue, but this isn't just Clue. It's Clue come to life. No longer are you blindly trying to weed out the murderer alone. Now you have additional leads to help you crack the case. I mean, check this out. You can watch confessions from the other players, or
Find that last missing piece of the jigsaw.
or look at this. Scrutinize the rooms to the last detail to help you solve the killing.
And just what do you suppose drove one to such an act?
Then again, well, why dwell on a nasty subject like homicide when how about Burn Cycle? Here's an interactive adventure game that combines the pace of a classic arcade game with all the cinematics and theatrics of a full-length movie. You see, you had a little incident while stealing some software. Now you're doing everything from shooting your way out of software company to blending in with the bottom dwellers of the city. Okay, like look here. To get anywhere, you have to solve a series of puzzles. And we're not exactly talking the tic-tac-toe variety either. You also want to avoid the people that are out to kill you. Oh yeah, the impressive thing is, you're doing it with a time bomb ticking away in your head. Hey, you guys don't have a CD player either.
Well,
as if this wasn't your lucky day already. Not only does CD-i have CD sound, it also plays music CDs as well. So, what you guys have here is a machine that plays movies, games, multimedia titles, and music CDs all in one system. Not only that, CD-i is a fraction of what some of those other machines cost on their own. Come in. How come I knew I'd find you here? Hey, Eddie! You think you can keep taking away my business? I got a thing going here. I know these people. These are my people. Who sold them their first extended warranty? Me. Who sold them their second extended warranty? Me. Who's over here every week fixing their VCR? Me. Who?
he's almost family.
You hear that?
Hey, Ed, have you seen this? Look at this. This is great. This is Mad Dog McCree. You know, the Old West. You and your trusty revolver. Outlaws everywhere you look.
Hey, quitting time. Hey, nice shooting, buddy. Hey, you keep this up, I gotta find a new line of work. A minute with CD-i, and years of rivalry just disappeared. Maybe it was all the CD-i titles. Maybe it was the interactivity. Maybe it was the digital video and CD sound. All I know is that now I have a partner. Better late than never.
Now that you know what Compact Disc Interactive has to offer, it's clear why CD-i is CD for your TV. With CD-i, you'll experience full-motion digital video with compact disc sound as big as your own television. CD-i does the work of a CD-ROM, a VCR, a video game unit, and a CD player, all in one. And it's yours for just 8 payments of only $62.50. CD-i offers over 200 titles like the cinematic adventure Burn Cycle. There are educational discs like Berenstain Bears, interactive music titles like Peter Gabriel's Explora 1, or in-depth reference works like Compton's Interactive Encyclopedia, and movies like 4 Weddings and a Funeral with new releases every month. Plus, CD-i also plays music CDs, making Compact Disc Interactive a must for your home entertainment system. And CD-i offers over 200 titles with new releases every month. Order the Magnavox CD-i player now, and you'll also get 6 pieces of incredible software included free with your purchase. Compton's Encyclopedia, the animated adventure Space Ace, the thrill ride Chaos Control, the kids' classic Berenstain Bears, a blockbuster movie, and the music CD Shared Vision. The songs of the Beatles is sung by contemporary artists. A $265 software value included at no additional charge when you buy now. Call this number now to receive the Magnavox CD-i player, complete with digital video cartridge, game controller, and over $265 of CD-i's best titles, all for just 8 payments of only $62.50. Call during this limited time offer and find out how easy, versatile, and inexpensive CD-i can be.
Game over, man. It's game over.